The new BioGenesis DLC will add a new ship set with its own ship mechanics and designs. Aura ships, 4 slots of X slots. It looks insane, and it's going to shake up the game massively. And I'm pretty sure any Empire will be able to use them and grow their own super ships. Let's just get straight into it. Meat ships, meat ships, meat ships. That's right. Look at this screenshot. We have meat ships. Hello everybody. Welcome to our first BioGenesis development diary. Today, Alfred will talk to us about ships that are made of meat. Take it away. Several weeks ago, Eldrin mentioned that the ship designer changes originally planned for 4.0 Phoenix would not be included in the open beta, as they're now needed for our upcoming Q2 DLC release. We've since seen a fair amount of speculation as to what we might have been cooking that would require such changes, so please allow me to introduce our biological ships. I called it. I said it, did I not? Meat ships, meat ships, meat ships. In BioGenesis, we are adding 2 distinct biological ship sets with unique ship classes and technology. Our goals in adding biological ships to Stellaris were to ensure that they are not only different in appearance from mechanical ships and space fauna, but also in gameplay. Thus, the key mechanical differences are: when using biological ships, corvettes, frigates, destroyers, cruisers, and battleships are replaced with Maulers, Weavers, Harbingers, and Stingers, each of which have 3 growth stages. So they really want to be different to mechanical, which I'm presuming the mechanical is what we've just had all along, corvettes, frigates, etc. That's insane. Biological ships, including starbases, megastructures and stations, have their primary construction resource converted from alloys or minerals into food, and their energy upkeep likewise replaced with food upkeep. The food builds can now be even better. You don't have to just use fauna that you capture. Overwhelmingly, biological ship technologies fall in society research, biology, instead of the familiar engineering research, voidcraft. That's huge as well. Remember, in 4.0, we're going to be given different tech categories, so you can make a food build, focus on society research, and get insane ships and play on a really different way to what we've always done, alloys and engineering research. This sounds good. And in classic Stellaris fashion, we've kept the flavour and narrative around biological ships intentionally vague, just enough to let you roleplay them however you like. Maybe they're an extension of your devouring swarm, just another drone in space, or maybe they're advanced biomachines, the pinnacle of your scientific achievement. I love how Stellaris do that. You can really tell your own stories. And then we do have a screenshot. Different types of ships prompted our UX designer to give the ship set selector a fresh coat of paint. Wow, yes. So we do have the 2 biological and then the mechanical, which is humanoid, machine, mammalian. Then we do have shellcraft. That's the ship type. So we're going to get a shell type bioship as well as a spiny looking one. That's really cool. We do have a description. Ship set type, biological. Bred for the bold, these hard-shelled starships do not serve, they endure, growing alongside the fearless explorers that call them home. And I guess that's the BioGenesis icon. You need that DLC for it to be activated. And then we do have the description for the juvenile Stinger, which is selected. There's 12 different ships from that ship set. So I'm guessing science ship, construction ship, colony ship, the corvette equivalent, frigate equivalent, destroyer equivalent, cruiser equivalent, battleship equivalent, titan equivalent, colossus equivalent, juggernaut equivalent, and I don't know what the 12th one is. Starbase? I'm not sure. Interestingly enough, there are no requirements on the screen, so potentially, and more importantly at the top it says United Nations of Earth, which isn't necessarily a BioGenesis origin or civic. I think any empire can put biological ships on. It's not going to be limited to origins or civics, but who knows? There might be requirements. But from the screenshot on the text, it looks like anyone can, including machines, which very nice. I hate when it's just limited to a specific thing. Now, if you are looking forward to this DLC and you're thinking of pre-purchasing this or the season pass, you can now use creator codes. My link is in the description. It will take you to the season 9 pass. Now, I wanted to clarify some confusion. This is not a limited time thing. You can use this after BioGenesis is out. You can also use this code on any Stellaris DLC. If you just want to get BioGenesis and not Season 9, you can do that. You can pre-order, add it to your cart, go to the cart, and you can check out. This works also on literally any Paradox game. Say you wanted some City Skylines DLC as well, my code works, and it will until Paradox stop doing this, but it's pretty much indefinite. You can also use my code EP for Stellaris in the promo code box and add that. It is case sensitive, so it needs to be EP3, the letter O, capital S, Stellaris. There are also links for other creators if you want to support them, but whoever's link you use, we get a kickback, and it doesn't cost you any more. So you may as well use someone's code, even if it's not mine. I'll let you know at the end of this video as well. Let's get back on with it. Let's get back on with the content. Growth cycles. Similar to space fauna from Grand Archive, biological ships have growth stages, but unlike space fauna, they do not naturally progress through these by aging. Very nice, giving a bit of a difference between BioGenesis and Grand Archive. Instead, these ships have a unique component slot for supplementary organs that can be researched. Generally speaking, the juvenile and mature growth stages will likely be occupied by growth organs that allow the ship to progress to the next stage. So as you can see here, we do have accelerated juvenile growth gland that costs us 21.375 food with an upkeep of 0.237, and it gives us a growth progress rate of +2. I don't know if that's a lot or not because I don't know the max yet. Alternatively, docking a fleet to a starbase equipped with a growth chamber allows for additional growth, regardless of ship configuration. So the growth chamber, the building slot, there's so many building slot stuff now, will cost you alloys and exotic gases. So a mid-game tech and building has an upkeep of food and exotic gases, but gives a +2 progress rate, as well as a dock ship upkeep of +100, which is quite a lot, considering we could just put an accelerated gland for +2. Also, interestingly, it gives the starbase modifier of shipyard capacity +2. So I think this growth chamber also acts as a shipyard, meaning you could make a mini mega shipyard by combining growth chamber and then 6 shipyards. You'll get 14 shipyard capacity instead of 12, I think, is what this means. The accumulated growth progress for ships is shown in both the ship's tooltip and the ship details window. So we can see the juvenile Mauler has a 64 power. It's got armor, shields, hit points. It has an upkeep of energy, food, and alloys, interestingly enough, but we can see the growth stage below that. Next growth stage is mature Mauler. We've done 6 out of 60 progress, and they're growing +2. It also tells you how long it will take. So if we did have the 2 previous things, that's +4 a month, so it'd take 15 months for the ships to grow up. Then obviously you can probably get rid of the accelerated juvenile growth gland for something else if that's possible. I'm not sure if we do get other components, but let's keep reading before I go crazy. You can also see it in the ship designer. There's a bunch of stuff on here. We've got the stats. There's a bunch of components that look similar, like the engine hyper lane thing. I can't remember what it's called. The thrusters, but they've all got a biological vibe to them. Those weapons look very interesting too. Hopefully we get told about them soon. When biological ships are designed, either automatically or using the ship designer, all research growth stages are configured as part of a single ship design. Once a biological ship has acquired sufficient growth progress, it will automatically change to using the next growth stage in its design. Alternatively, biological ships can be constructed at a shipyard at a later growth stage. So to save us on building a bunch of ship designs for a bunch of growth progresses, sounds like it's all going to be in like one thing. We'll have to see. You can also build ships at a later stage, so we can skip the growing, which is really nice. Meaning you don't have to just sit there and wait for them to grow up. You can just build them at the later stage. Although all growth stages of biological ships use the same fleet command limit for their ship class, later growth stages use more naval capacity, with the mature stage using 1.5 times and the elder stage using 2x the naval capacity of the juvenile stage. This is actually quite huge. Fleet command limit is what you have in your ships. If you magically grow up and all their fleet command limit changed, it would create a lot of micromanaging problems, headaches. But to balance them, they don't take up more space in your fleet, they'll just take up more naval capacity. I really like that, as otherwise it's just going to be a headache. We then get to see the 3 growth stages of the Weaver. We have a smaller ship, and as they grow up, there's 3 stages. They become bigger and more spiky. They just look creepy. I love it. Meat ships, meat ships, meat ships. Ships made of meat. Maulers primarily focus on short-range combat with shield penetration and high damage to armor and shields. Equipped with melee range, mandible weapons, and either short-range S-slot or PD slot weapons, these ships will form the bulk of your navy in the early game. The unique mandible weapons have similar damage scaling against star bases and larger ships as torpedoes. Oh my. Here is the image of when we first unlock it. As you can see, there's 3 stages, and it's all bulked into one on the ship designer, but when they grow up, they'll use the next stage, I believe. And we're going to need society text to get the new stages. Let's compare this to a Corvette, as it seems these two are meant to be quite similar the stage of the game. First, the upkeep for a Corvette is a base of 0.3, and the components 0.6, so we're getting 0.9 energy. We've got Ministry of Defense reducing that. Then we do have 0.2 alloys, whereas the Mauler has a 0.09 energy, so well reduced on the energy, 0.9 food, which is quite high, and then the same alloys. The cost to build, we have 100 here, but their one, 175 food and 59 alloys. So it looks like it's a bit more expensive, but only by a little bit. Now, as I've done a few bit of math using the market, 175 food is 227.5 energy, and that means you can get 43.75 alloys from that. So the total cost, if we just converted it all into alloys, would be 102.75. So they're relatively the same price. That's why you've always got to do the math. Obviously, that's not a perfect conversion. This is just assuming we go to energy, which is not in the perfect world, as you might be producing a lot more food than alloys. Now, they both take up a ship size of 1. We can actually see the new ship designer is showing a lot more information, which is nice. Uses 1 naval cap, the same as a Corvette. So the hull is actually 108 more on the Mauler. However, the armor and shields are less, but these are obviously related to our S slots, which you can notice the Mauler only has 2 and a Corvette has 3. They both get an A slot, which is nice though. The evasion's much better on a Corvette, and the speed is relatively the same. I guess if we added a reactor booster, that actually shows it's a lot closer, but the damage, my word, the damage is so much better on the Mauler. Now, we don't know exactly how the G and S slot are working there, but the fact it's a G slot weapon that is multiplicative against star bases means this ship's going to be really good early game to take down people, as Corvettes struggle a lot against star bases, whereas this Mauler's going to do a lot more damage, but it does have to get in. We then do get an image of the Picket version and all 3 stages. So clearly it destroys the Corvette once you can throw it. So these ships are going to scale late game a lot better than Corvettes. Rather than us basically getting rid of them and building higher level ships, we can just mature them out. There's an extra slot below where this combat computer usually goes, and I believe that's the growth thing that we saw. They do only start with 2 weapon slots. The middle class basically matches Corvette, but actually gets an extra S slot. And then the mature class, I believe, I'm not sure if it's mature that we're seeing stats of, or the middle one, but the last stage you get an extra weapon slot, an extra A slot, and 3 extra S slots compared to a Corvette. It looks incredible, mixes up the game a lot, and is kind of reminiscent of when you could pick Jump Drive's hyperlanes based on the ship set. The unique organ components that Maulers have access to are the corrosive fluids, a metabolic recycler, and their upgraded versions. Corrosive fluid, 5 power slot with a cost of 16 food and a really small food upkeep, but it gives you mandible weapon damage, which is those G slots, and more armor damage. You can alternatively choose metabolic recycler, which is a 5 power usage, the same food cost and the same upkeep, but gives you sublight speed and evasion chance. These are instead of the growth stage things. So if you don't really care about your stuff growing up, you can actually output more damage, which is really sick. Sublight speed and evasion might be OP, especially with that amount of A slots. You can make these really quick. Considering in the background we can actually see 288 sublight speed, that's quite fast. Guys, meet me halfway and just subscribe to the channel. You like meat? You like meat ships? Subscribe. Yeah, back with the video. Next up we have Weavers, which are support ships, making use of unique weapons to apply powerful buffs to their allies or debuffs to their enemies. Oh my gosh. So we can't really compare this to anything, as we don't have a buffing ship, but it looks like the Corvette's taking the place of Corvettes and frigates with the G slots. Then we have the Weaver. Weavers have unique access to an array of 6 support components, each with 6 tiers that belong in the PD slots. They're utilizing PD to act as support weapons, but they still have M slots. So remember that you're not going to get all of these stages. You only get the one that is in the stage. You're not going to have, if you have the max level 20 weapon slots, you'll only have the one that it's the stage of, if that makes sense. That's how I'm interpreting it. Otherwise it will be very OP. Let's have a look at some of these support weapons. Adaptive Spore Launcher, it's going to cost you food alloys and exotic gases, is a kinetic support with accuracy of 90%, tracking 50%, and its target is allied ships. This is new. We've never seen a ship shoot at our own ships. ships. It has spread fire weapon focus, which I have no idea what that means. It's a missile, and on hit, it repairs 70 hull points or armor. Oh my gosh, that's insane. Applied modifiers, I think that's for 10 days, gives you armor hardening, daily armor regen, and daily hull regen. That's incredible, but I think it has to hit. It's got a tracking and accuracy number, and it says on hit effect. So you might not want to build evasion on your ships if you want your support stuff to hit. The next one is a Weaver or a Caster. It's going to cost you motes, alloys, and food. It's an energy support weapon. It's a spread fire again, and allied ships targeting. They all have 40 range, 0 to 40 range. It doesn't have an on-hit effect, but when I believe it hits, it applies a modifier for 10 days that gives you 20% fire rate, 20% range, armor penetration, and shield penetration. That's insane. The fire rate and range and the penetration exactly what you want. Oh my word, that's OP, I think. Electro Sprayer. This one's costing you crystals, food, and alloys. Is a kinetic support, 40 range again, same tracking and accuracy. Is a spread fire. No on-hit effect. Oh no, the on-hit effect is the repair and the apply modifier for 10 days. Okay, so the on-hit effect is applied modifiers here for 10 days. Evasion chance plus 20, sublight speed 40%, and combat disengagement chance. Don't care about the engagement chance, but the sublight speed and evasion chance is quite good. However, is it kind of anti-synergy? You're making those ships have an evasion chance, and if you're firing at them with other stuff, they might miss. My favorite so far, fire rate and weapon range. Maybe even the healing if you've got big, beefy ships. We then have a screenshot of the negatives to enemies. I believe these are pretty much the same in terms of cost, range, tracking, and what they do. However, they're the negative version of what we just had. We have the degradation beams. This is going to slow down ship fire rate, range, and tracking. Honestly, range doesn't really matter as you're already going to be in combat. Tracking's quite good. Ship fire rate negative is quite good. Then we have the Pineon Accelerator. This is going to reduce evasion chance, reduce sublight speed, and a focus fire effect. All I can think of with the focus fire effect is the Star Wars strategy game, which I've forgotten the name of, where you can play as, is it Mon Mothma or someone, and you can focus fire on someone and they all just beam it. Someone in the comments will know exactly what I'm saying there. Again, sublight speed doesn't really matter because you're already going to be in the fight. Evasion chance is very good, but you have to hit them to apply the evasion chance. Not a fan of these negatives compared to the positives yet. Then we have Ruin Barbs. It's an energy suppressor. Oh, they're all suppressors. It has 100% accuracy and 25% tracking. The on-hit effect is up to 75% chance to confuse military ships for 5 to 10 days based on target ship size. What does confusion do? Well, we have the tooltip. Confused ships lose the ability to differentiate between allies and enemies, causing them to attack indiscriminately. That's hilarious. If you're coming up against like a swarm or something, I don't know. Like, it's very RNG because you're not going to know if they're going to shoot at you or the enemy, but it's so funny. Like, it's for the memes, that one. Personally, I'd probably run the armor hardening and healing one or the ship fire rate and weapon range, but the confused one is funny. Unique organ components that weavers have access to are symbiotic amplifiers and development pheromones. This is the thing that you can either use to grow the ship faster or give you buffs. So you can get support weapon fire rate 5%, and suppressor 5%, ship weapon rates 5%. Just realized you don't have to run all of the same P slots, as we do get 4 P slots on the biggest one, so you can actually combo buffs and negatives. That's something to note. The weapon range is quite nice though, from the basic symbiotic amplifier and developmental pheromones. Effect on own fleet, growth progress rate +1, but military ships upkeep +50%. The aura only applies to biological ships capable of growth. So this is an aura that is applying to your whole fleet. I don't know if this stacks. Auras usually don't, so you meta-wise might want one ship with the pheromones in your fleet to grow them all quicker, but it does give you more upkeep. So it depends if you're trying to grow. The next ship design is Harbingers. They are carriers capable of deploying a large amount of strikecraft and supporting them with point defense or long-range missiles. Oh yes, look at that. The max one has 4 hangar slots and 6 PD. What? And then the missile one, I'll probably be running that missile one. The 4 hangars and 4 G slot weapons. 3 A slots. Oh. Yes. Strikecraft for empires using biological ships are deployed in greater numbers per fighter wing, but have reduced hull points and armor instead of shields. So we do have the screenshot of the advanced fighter. Let's pull up the game, shall we, to get a good comparison. So this cruiser, the advanced strike craft here, costs you 83 alloys, whereas the advanced fighter wing is costing you 292 food. Oh wow, it's double. We have 8 strike craft units at a rate of 0.5. However, the biological has 16 at a rate of 1. Our one is dealing more damage, 6 to 17. Whereas the biological one deals 3 to 8. The cooldown's the same, the accuracy's the same, the tracking's the same, the range is the same, the engagement range is the same. However, we have double the hull points, but no armor, whereas they only have 12 armor, but we have 25 shields. They both have 80 evasion, 700 speed, and the same average damage and the same penetration. So it just kind of mixes it up a bit. I'm not sure this entirely matters. I suppose flak does less armor damage, so they're going to do less damage to the strike craft of biological weapons. So you might just want to run point defense if you see a biological hangar ship. The unique organ components that Harbingers have access to are chitin growth regulators, I don't know if that's correct, and the incubation matrix. The growth regulators give you ship engagement range plus 5% and strikecraft armor 5. Never seen a component do that. That's quite cool. I like that. Then the incubator matrix gives you more engagement range and less cooldown. Oh, that's a hard one. Which one do you go for? I'm not entirely sure. Let me know in the comments what you think. My gut reaction, I would go the engagement range. Oh, they both have engagement range. Probably the cooldown. Probably the cooldown. If they're going to shoot down my strikecraft anyway, let's just spam them out. The next ship, Stingers. They're a powerful late game warship equipped with multiple XL weapons or capable of unleashing heavy broadside barrage. Oh, X slots. Oh my gosh. Four on the max one. Oh my gosh. I mean, you still have 2 on the first one, but you know how I am with X slots. This is the ultimate late game 25 times crisis ship. 4 X slots. You don't need a specific technology. These are battleship equivalent. You just spam out focus arc emitters on them. We can actually see you can actually get them. First strike them down. And then the L slots can do whatever they want. We then do get a mass L slot. Mem slot one, I don't care. I would definitely go for the X slots and just artillery barrage them down. Unique organ components that Stingers have access to are Exor spirals and rangefinder clusters. The heat Exor spirals, oh, they're not spirals, spiracles, give you ship fire rate and tracking. That's pretty good. Then the rangefinder cluster gives you range and tracking. Well, X slot, ship weapon range, more tracking. I need this. I need this now. And I just checked, the stats are quite similar to the battleship in terms of speed and stuff. They just are a little bit different in the way they function. As each of the different growth stages of each of the classes of biological ships can be built at a shipyard, that's an important thing. We did need the bio growth things for Grand Archive to cloning vats. I can't remember what they're called, but we can actually just make them with shipyards here. That's insane. We've taken the opportunity to implement collapsible headers when selecting which ships built. Look at this. Oh, that's beautiful. Just clean it up a bit. When we're spamming out our battleships, or our Harbingers, we can get rid of the Maulers, the Weavers, the civilian ships. The UI team is doing a fantastic job at revamping the UI, I have to say. This also works for mechanical ships and space fauna. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Oh, there's more. There's still more to go. Since biological ships have their own weapons, armor, shield, and core components, we've gone through and ensured that the technologies use the appropriate icons depending if you're using the biological ship set or not. So what I'm interpreting here is they're not new techs, they're just the mechanical and bio equivalents, but we get new icons and names and stuff for them. That's a win. That's a win. There's a bunch of modding notes here. Modders can go a bit more wild due to this addition. There's upgrade paths. Ship components now support show tech unlock if blank field like buildings. So essentially you need to build a building before you can research a tech. I think that's in the modding. So you can we need to build a fusion reactor to be able to get the fusion reactor tech is how I'm interpreting it. I am not a modder, but there's also new targeting parameters. So you can target ally ships as we saw. New parameters for weapons, on hit effects, high damage values. Modders can go wild. We then get a bunch of art. These look incredible. They just look so disgusting biological beasts, and that's a compliment. That is a massive compliment. The long boys right there, bit phallic. The shell ones look a little bit less scary, but they look incredible. And then there's a bunch trooped up here. I'm not entirely sure what those are. We do get a look at, I think that's the, can't remember what the shipyard ship is. The Juggernaut. I think I missed that earlier. They all just look sick. Next week we'll be looking at Ascension, Tradition, Advanced Governments. See you then. Now remember, if you are looking to pre-order this, Season 9 any other Paradox DLC. It's not time sensitive though, you can wait for more information. Make sure to use someone's link or code. My link's in the description, and my code is EP3Stellaris, case sensitive. Subscribe for more coverage on Stellaris and more gameplay and everything. This channel's a hub of Stellaris. Now go watch my Clerk only movie. Clerks are probably being removed in 4.0, or at least they're not going to be as important. And I did a whole 20+ hour stream series role-playing with using only Clerks. Click it here to watch now.